It's my daughter calling. Give me 1 second.
I'm doing one to add. Choose whether or not to go into executive session.
All right, I guess we'll get started. Dr. Joyner can join us when he's able. Dr. White, is there interpretation this?
Yes.
Okay. Buenas tardes. Si desean escuchar esta reunión en español, favor de presionar el enlace en la parte baja de la pantalla que dice Interpretation para interpretación. Gracias. And with that, I will call this meeting to order. I will say that I have not been feeling well. And so if at some point I feel like I can't continue, Mr. Wilcox has agreed to take over the meeting if needed. Thank you. Dr. Yarborough, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yes.
I asked you last time.
No problem. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And we will start with public participation. Dr. White, Mr. Wilcox, are you able to take time?
Yes.
Thank you.
We'll begin with who's in person on the sheet.
Person, we have one person listed here, and it is Kamani Harrison.
Man, you guys don't make this very accessible here.
You wanna pull it off?
Thank you. Good evening to the board and everyone. My name is Kamani Harrison. I'm here from the Key Bookstore. It's a Hartford-based interactive bookstore, and I want to implement an interactive reading program in the New Haven public school system. I recently won a grant from Yale for their New Haven Civic Innovation Prize, and so I want to start working with the New Haven public schools, and I'm also working with literacy experts in the state. So whoever I can talk to about that, I'd like to do that after this meeting. Okay, thank you.
All right, we have one more here in-house, and it's Young In Kim.
Hello, my name is Young In Kim. I'm a senior at Wilbercross High School, and I'm just here to follow up on our request from the New Haven Climate Movement about the updates about the climate emergency resolution from the Board of Education, which was postponed from last meeting to today. And I was wondering, after the public comments, if the board could respond on whether there's a spot on the agenda for those resolution points. Thank you.
Our first person online is Bishop Schneesneck. Oh, I'm sorry, I lowered it. He lowered his hand. Rosie Hampton, first speaker. Rosie Hampton, you may speak. Hampson, excuse me.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. My name is Rosie Hampson. I'm also a member of the New Haven Climate Movement, and I'm a junior at Wilbercross High School. Like Youngin just mentioned, I'm also here today to ask that the Board of Education take climate action in New Haven Public Schools, specifically through implementing the points outlined in the climate emergency resolution passed last September. As an NHPS high school student, I know that the amount of food wasted daily in cafeterias is unreasonably huge and increases carbon emissions from foods that could be donated to those struggling with food insecurity or else be composted. I also know from my research that I've been doing on transportation how unjust it is that so many youth are exposed to alarmingly high levels of diesel fumes every day riding school buses to and from school. And these fumes include benzene, which can cause cancer, and which are also largely responsible for New Haven's high asthma rates, which are the highest in the state and disproportionately impact lower income communities, communities of color, youth, and the elderly. And finally, I believe that youth have a right to be educated about the climate crisis, something which is and will continue to affect every one of our lives. For these reasons, I urge the Board of Education to take strong action at implementing the points of composting, transportation, education, energy, and recycling, which are outlined in the climate emergency resolution, such as through hiring sustainability, energy, and climate education coordinators. Thank you for listening and have a good night.
Our next speaker is Adrian Huck. Adrian Huck, they may speak.
Good evening, Board of Education members. My name is Adrian Huck, and I'm an organizer with New Haven Climate Movement and a 2020 graduate from Metropolitan Business Academy. I'm also the youth coordinator for the Climate Health Education Project in New Haven, and I help lead the Climate Justice Schools Initiative, which is a joint program between us at NHCM and New Haven Public Schools. I'm eager to hear about the BOE's progress on the BOE Climate Emergency Resolution that was passed last September, which we are hoping will be presented later on in this meeting as a place to share a 6-month update on the action areas of the resolution, since as previous members had mentioned, we were not included on the last meeting agenda. In the meantime, I join other NHCM members tonight as we reiterate the climate emergency, which we feel that the district has an obligation to act on. So I would like to share some of NHCM's past work that has resulted in policy change on the city level. So to start off, in 2018, the city passed the New Haven Climate and Sustainability Framework, which outlines key action areas to address the climate emergency on a city level. In 2019, the Board of Alders passed our New Haven Climate Emergency Resolution, calling for zero community-wide emissions by 2030. In 2020, as part of our ask to commit 0.1% of the city budget towards climate work, the city committed a total of $600,000 in capital funds and general funds. In 2020, the city formed a climate emergency task force. In 2021, the Board of Alders passed our electrification resolution to commit to a 100% electric city by 2030. And last year in 2022, as part of our campaign to push the city to invest 10% of American Rescue Plan Act funding towards climate work, the city committed $5 million for their carbon-free future program to fund various climate-related initiatives. And lastly, our most recent success has been that the city has hired an executive director of climate and sustainability last December, after multiple years of our advocacy surrounding city staff, hiring city staff to address climate change, and they're set to hire another staff member for their office soon. So I share this information because we also hope to see the BOE take the climate emergency seriously, just like the city has, and to find creative ways to put time and resources towards this critical work of creating a more sustainable district for our students and families. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Leah Mock.
Good evening. My name is Leah Mock, and I'm a junior at ESIMS. And like Rosie, Youngin, and Adrian, I'm also a member of the New Haven Climate Movement's Climate Education Committee. I'd like to speak tonight about why climate education is so important to me personally. As a New Haven Public School student, I cannot overemphasize the need for climate education in our schools. Many students in our community do not have a full and developed understanding of the climate crisis that we are experiencing and that we as today's youth will be tasked with solving. Climate education should be a priority in New Haven especially, as we live in an area vulnerable to sea level rise and with great disparities in the wealth and living conditions among New Haven residents. New Haven public school students are entitled to an education that is both of high quality and tackles the issues that we are faced with. An investment in climate education is an investment in the future of New Haven public school students. And as such, I believe it is not only the responsibility of our schools to invest in climate education, but the obligation of New Haven public schools to do so. I urge the members of this board to consider climate change for what it is, a life-threatening crisis, and to treat it with such urgency. Thank you for your time.
Madam President, that concludes all raised hands.
Thank you, Dr. White. Mr. Wilcox. We'll move on to the next item, which is the approval of the board meeting minutes, starting with the April 19th, 2023. Is there a motion to approve?
I move approval.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Golson, Mr. Wilcox. Discussion? Seeing none, we'll vote to approve the April 19th meeting minutes. Mr. Wilcox,
Yes.
Mr. Golson,
Yes.
we're still not on. Dr. Benitez,
Yes.
Dr. Yarborough,
Yes.
Mr. Cruz Bustamante,
Yes.
Mayor Elicker,
Yes.
and I am a yes as well. And so that item passes. Next would be the meeting minutes for April 24th.
Madam President, I move we approve the minutes for April 24th.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Wilcox. Mr. Golson, any discussion? Seeing none, we'll go to approve the April 24th meeting minutes. Mr. Wilcox,
Yes.
Mr. Golson,
Yes.
Dr. Yarborough,
Yes.
Mr. Cruz Bustamante,
Yes.
Dr. Benitez,
Yes.
Mayor Elicker,
Yes.
and I'm a yes as well. So that item passes. Personnel report, Dr. Tracy.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good evening, board and members of the audience. I recommend that the Board of Education approve the following matters pertaining to instructional staff members. Have Monica Abbott, who is moving from coordinator of 10 months to coordinator 12 months based on SAA contract. Susanna Mentor, Southern coordinator at Russ Woodward, moving to assistant principal based on SAA contract. Paul Camarco, assistant principal at James Hillhouse High School, to serve as co-op high school principal. Joan Banana Ferris to move from coordinator to assistant principal at County West Hills Magnet School per the SAA contract. And Maria Christina Ryan, administrative intern from Truman School to assistant principal at Hill Central Music Academy. Dr. Jennifer Sinal Swinger, I may mess her name up. Supervisor of Secondary English Language Arts, Jennifer Tusignat. I did say it correct, Jennifer? Yes, okay. Supervisor for Elementary Reading and Language Arts. And Lachelle Roundtree, Director of Transportation Gateway. Then we have some teacher appointments pending certification.
Thank you, Dr. Tracy. Mr. Wilcox?
Yes, make a motion here and I move that we approve the action items of the superintendent's personnel report.
There a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Yarborough. Any discussion? Mr. Golson?
Thank you, Madam President. I just have one question about the administrators. I thought that we weren't making any positions above principal. Maybe I'm wrong on that. These are central office positions, is that correct? Okay. But
Cabinet position.
they're not cabinet, but they're central office, right? Okay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, we'll vote to approve the action items of the personnel report. Mr. Wilcox,
Yes.
Dr. Yarborough,
Yes.
Mr. Bolton,
Yes.
Dr. Benitez,
Yes.
Mayor Elicker,
Yes.
Mr. Cruz Bustamante,
Yes.
and I'm a yes as well. And so the action items of the personnel report passed. Next item, Dr. Tracy.
So thank you, Madam President. At this time, I will call on Mr. Camarco to come to the podium to say a few words. Mr. Camarco is a 15-year. He is a 15-year New Haven Public Schools veteran, started out in social studies, worked in one of the most difficult schools, an alternative placement for quite a while.
Oh.
Yes.
What you were saying, Hill House was.
No, not
Okay.
that. And then he was a TAPS Award recognized teacher. Then he served as assistant principal of New Light High School when it was moved to Worcester Square. And then Schulman for 4 years as assistant principal, then to James Hill House. And now here we are, moving him again. He looks forward to working with co-op team and the greater school community. Congratulations. Mr.
Thank you, Dr. Tracy. So Madam President, members of the Board of Education, Madam Superintendent, Mr. Mayor, families and guests, thank you for this opportunity to be part of the Cooperative Arts and Humanities High School as its next principal. I'm excited to work with the entire school team, community partners, teachers, staff, families, and of course, the incredibly talented students. Together, we will continue to build upon the legacy of excellence carried on by Ms. Belton and her team, Arts Director Amy Miglori and John Wynn. I thank you to the assistant superintendents for their support and encouragement throughout this process. I also thank you to my Hill House team, Ms. Robinson, Dr. Williams, Mr. Bonnet, and Mr. Sweeting. We're the best in the city. Of a mentor speaks to why I'm here today. These individuals took the time to see the potential in me and offered professional support and guidance along the way. I'm going to thank a couple of people, and hopefully I don't leave them out, but I thank Mr. Larry Conaway, Kathleen Mattern, Michael Patterson, Kermit Carolina, Sequela Coleman, Dina Natalino, Dr. Glennis King-Harrell, Peter Herndon, and Edith Johnson. These are people who saw potential in me over the years, took the time to mentor me, and I am truly forever gratefully thankful. I will continue in this tradition of mentorship in my new role, encouraging and inspiring our next generation of leaders to grow from students to teachers to school and community leaders. And finally, I must thank my wife, Allison, and my daughter, Logan. They're the inspiration for all that I am and my reason for being. I'm very excited to get started. Thank you very much.
Ask that Mr. Camarco's wife and daughter please stand so we can, you're all a part. Now you're in New Haven. I'm trying to steal her to work in New Haven. Thank you. Thank you. Now I'll call upon Ms. Lachelle Roundtree, Director of Transportation, to say a few words.
Good evening, everyone. I should do it properly, right? Good evening, members of the board, members of the public, and to my new teammates. I want to thank the board for approving the position for me tonight and the leaders of New Haven Public Schools, but with a special thank you to Dr. Tracy for providing me with this opportunity to continue to service the students in our community. It's near and dear to my heart. I'm a New Haven native, and I am looking forward to this work. I'm going to roll up my sleeves. I'm going to jump into it. I will jump into the work, and we want to make sure that the students are being transported in care, safety, caring, in an equitable way. Once again, thank you for this tremendous opportunity, and I look forward to the job. Thank you.
Ms.
I
Roundtree,
like-
I thought the
like-
name sounded familiar.
Yes,
Congratulations.
Lachelle Roundtree. I'd like to recognize Lachelle's husband, Mr. Roundtree. And a good woman is a good man too, so I hope so. So thank you. So Lachelle is a native of New Haven. She earned her bachelor's degree in business administration from Alberta's Magnet College. She has also a certification from Cornell University in diversity and inclusion. Since 2009, she has been serving as Senior Director of School Operations, where she works right now. And Lachelle is very active in the community. We want to thank you for joining us, Lachelle. Thank you. The next person is Dr. Jennifer Sinal Swingler. Dr. Jennifer Sinal Swingler. Come on up, Dr. Swingler.
Good evening, esteemed members of the board, Dr. Tracy, members of the New Haven community. It is a privilege and a pleasure to stand here this evening to humbly approach this role as the secondary supervisor of English language arts. I am so grateful for this opportunity to serve this community with grace, with courage, to engage in the complex conversation of how literacy books can be used to show us the different views of ourselves, our lives beyond, our community, and the greater world. It is with a hopeful heart, a positive attitude, and an adoration for the community of New Haven that I am so humbly grateful to join you here this evening. And with my new partner under Ms. Redhannon's doing the incredible work of secondary literacy leadership, I thank you, I am grateful, and I am honored to be here with you tonight. Thank you.
About Dr. Swingler, do you have someone who would come with you? No? Okay, she's a loner. Okay. She's an award-winning doctor with over 20 years of experience as middle and high school teacher, builder leader, pre-K to 12 district administrator. She has been dedicated to improving literacy instruction and igniting students' passion for reading and writing. Dr. Swingler has established herself as a literacy curriculum expert, using action research to strengthen the work of school systems. Her work as an adjunct professor at her alma mater, Southern, and the University of Bridgeport, and her leadership with the Connecticut Council of Teachers of English has elevated her expertise in English language arts, student-centered leadership, and culturally sustaining pedagogy. She cares deeply for her work and family and is devoted to improving the community through responsive education. She's honored and humbled to join New Haven Public Schools. Again, welcome. The next person I'll call upon is Ms. Jennifer Tusignan.
Good evening, Dr. Tracy, Board of Education members, and the New Haven community. I am honored and delighted to be here for the appointment of the elementary supervisor of language arts here for New Haven Public Schools. I am so excited for the work ahead. I can't wait to roll up my sleeves, work with our literacy team in service for the children of New Haven to ensure that they have the literacy skills to meet all of the successes that this life has to give. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We did steal her from a school district, so just, you know. Ms. Jennifer Tusignan is professional experience covers 25 years and has been heavily concentrated in reading and language arts, as well as professional and talent development. She believes in high expectations for all within the school district so that everyone can reach their full potential socially, emotionally, and academically, working to improve themselves and the world around. In where she worked, they earned the second highest growth scores in Smarter Balance assessment for all elementary schools in the state. With a strong focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion, projected growth rates amongst most multilingual learners, high needs population, and students receiving special education servicing were met. Along with the wide range of responsibilities involved in building level administration, she has been heavily immersed in the SRBI process and procedures, data team, PLCs, etc., you name it. She holds 3 certifications in reading consultant, remedial reading language arts, K-12, and also elementary, yes. So she's helping me out there. So in terms of background, she's well suited for this job. Currently, she is a principal in a school system, but for years she's worked as district-wide reading resource specialist, K-8, for a school system. And she spent 4 years building base kindergarten through grade 3 literacy coach under the federal Reading First grant. For those of us who go back with Reading First, it brings back, that was a great program. Yes, we got rid of it somehow. So she will continue to lend her expertise to New Haven Public Schools. We are proud to have you. Thank you. Next, Christina Ryan. Christina Ryan.
I think so. Good evening, members of the board, Dr. Tracy, the New Haven community. Buenas noches. I am honored and so grateful for the opportunity to serve as assistant principal at Hill Central School. I want to give a special thank you to Dr. Tracy and to Pedro Mendia and all my L department coworkers for all their support and mentorship over the years. The importance of education was instilled in me at a very young age, as my parents, who together with my family left Cuba and all their belongings, fleeing communism, always said, no one, not even Castro, can take away what you have learned. So as assistant principal, I look forward to working with the families, with the staff and the students at Hill Central School to ensure that all our students become lifelong learners and receive an education that they will have forever. Thank you so very much for this opportunity.
Christina also has with her her wonderful husband, Mr. Ryan. So welcome, Mr. Ryan. You may stand. Christina has been in the field of education for over 30 years, and her passion for educating children and working with families never wavered. Her career began in 1987 when, as part of the Jesuit Volunteer Corps, she taught first grade in Kingston with over 60 students. Are you hearing me?
We can hear you.
60 first grade students. I thought she would be putting out her hair. That happened. I taught in Jamaica too, so I had 40 of those in front of me. Following her time in Jamaica, Christina began working with NHPS. Her years of experience as bilingual grade 1 and 2 teacher, general education, 2nd grade teacher, staff developer at Clinton Avenue, district instructional coach for multilingual learners department, and most recently as administrative intern. So she has gone the gamut of the school system in a sense. When we needed someone to help out at FAME, she gladly accepted to shift from where she was at Truman to help support the assistant principal at FAME. And we are also going to shift her to help support another principal before her work starts. So Christina is very flexible, shows her flexibility. Christina received her Bachelor's of Arts degree from Boston College, a master's in multilingual and multicultural education from UConn, and her 6th-year degree in education leadership from Quinnipiac University. I know you're passionate about learning. You're passionate about your students. I saw that firsthand, and I want to welcome you to New Haven Public Schools, this level. Do I have the coordinators who are promoted here? No? Okay, so they're not here. I guess they're already in, so, but these were two great coordinators that we promoted to assistant principal. And SAA in their contract did not want to use coordinators again in that manner. So everybody has to be assistant principal, but they deserve that. They worked hard and have demonstrated the ability to help their principal moving their students. So board, this is what I have so far. Thank you so much for listening. Where are they? They're gone? I know you're on your computer somewhere, so I hope we just can't see them. Oh, boy. I'm looking at tiles, Yesenia. So, all right, so can you affirm that you're hearing us still?
I can hear you.
Okay, great, great. It's scary. We are not seeing you, but we're hearing you.
Oh, no.
Amazing. So that's my report. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and congratulations to everyone. Next item is discussion and possible action, non-certified instructors for 2023 Summer Fun Program. Dr. Tracy?
Can I move the item before we have discussion on it, Madam President?
Sure.
I move that item, Madam President.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I'm not sure if we have brought to this board teachers and paraprofessionals to get certain amount of funding to work in our summer school program. And the team felt it necessary to also identify the non-certified instructors who need to get this type of compensation. They're degreed people teaching classes in our summer school.
Okay. Seeing no further discussion, we'll vote on the.
Madam President,
Oh,
Madam President, I just have
but
I just have a question.
you guys are really, really small to us who are over here, so
I'll go way up here like.
you're gonna have to like really wave.
Oh, okay, thank you, Madam President. These folks are not part of a union, is that
No,
correct?
they're non-union.
So you're just bringing this to us just as a courtesy, right? I mean, we didn't need to approve this, is that
We need
correct?
to because it's financial. Anything financial, the board has to approve.
Got it, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, one other question. What is the
Sure.
total cost of this? Do we have an estimate? You know, I always ask that
I
question,
don't know
right?
how many people.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Seeing no further discussion, we'll vote on the non-certified instructors for 2023 Summer Fun Program. Mr. Bolton.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. I heard Bolton.
Mr. Wilcox,
Yes.
Dr. Joyner, Dr. Joyner,
Hand is up.
I'll come back to Dr. Joyner. Dr. Benitez,
Yes.
Dr. Yarborough,
Yes.
Mr. Cruz Bustamante,
Absolutely, yes.
Mayor Elicker,
Yes.
Dr. Joyner, Dr. Joyner.
Can you hear me, Madam Chair?
Yes, I'm waiting for your vote on the.
Yeah, I just got in the house. Yes.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Joyner, and I am a yes as well. Mayor Elicker?
Yes.
Okay, I'm a yes as well, and so that item passes. And we'll move on to F and O items, Mr. Wilcox.
All right, thank you very much. Before I present the F&O action items here, I am going to be moving the 2 healthy food certifications as separate items. They might look familiar to you because we've already said yes to these, I believe at our last meeting, but we've been asked to vote on them distinctly and separately as requirements from the state needing to see certain things on the agenda. So since it is going to help us keep our funding in place, I'll be moving those separately. So first off, is there anything that anybody would like move separately beyond those two items? Hearing and seeing nothing, I will go ahead and move that we approve the 11 agreements, the 2 contracts as recommended by F&O. And listed.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Wilcox. Dr. Yarborough, any discussion? Okay, seeing none, we will vote on the F&O items. Mr. Wilcox? Mr. Wilcox?
Yes.
Dr. Yarborough?
Yes.
Dr. Joyner?
Yes.
Mr. Goldson?
Yes.
Dr. Benitez?
Yes.
Mr. Cruz Bustamante?
Yes.
Mayor Elicker?
Yes.
And I'm a yes as well. And so F&O items passed. Mr. Wilcox?
Like to go ahead and make another motion here, and that is I move we approve the first healthy food certification statement, which is an addendum to an agreement for child nutrition programs.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Wilcox. Dr. Yarborough, any discussion?
Recording in progress.
Seeing none, we'll vote on the F&O item, the number 1 healthy food certification. Mr. Wilcox?
Yes.
Dr. Yarborough?
Yes.
Dr. Joyner?
Yes.
Dr. Benitez?
Yes.
Mr. Goldson?
Yes.
Mr. Cruz Bustamante?
Yes.
Mayor Elicker?
Yes.
And I'm a yes as well. So that item passes.
I'd like to make another motion, and that is that I move that we approve the second healthy food certification statement, which is regarding food and beverage exemptions.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Wilcox. Dr. Yarborough, any discussion? Seeing none, we'll vote on the second healthy food certification. Mr. Wilcox?
Yes.
Dr. Yarborough?
Yes.
Dr. Benitez?
Yes.
Mr. Goldson?
Yes.
Dr. Joyner?
Yes.
Mr. Cruz Bustamante?
Yes.
Mayor Elicker?
Yes.
And I'm a yes as well. And so that item passes.
Madam,
Mr. Wilcox?
yes, and I'd like to make an additional motion that I neglected to do earlier, but I'd like to add something to the agenda. So I move that we add to the agenda discussion and possible action concerning the responses to the solicitation of proposals for transportation services. A portion of that discussion might be an executive session as authorized by Connecticut General Statute Section 1-2006E and Connecticut General Statute Section 1-210B24.
Second.
Yep. I'm sorry, who seconded? Dr. Joyner?
Yes, I did.
Okay, it's been properly seconded and we need 2/3 vote in order to amend the agenda. Mr. Wilcox, any discussion?
I'll just say I recommend we add it to the end of the agenda where we already have a potential executive session scheduled.
Okay, so before the executive session or after?
If we're going to have an executive session for this, I was just recommending we have one on the agenda already. And so to add this towards the end of the agenda rather than right now or whatever.
Okay. So we're just needing to vote to amend the agenda. Any discussion on amending the agenda? Okay, seeing none. We'll vote to amend the agenda to add the item described by Mr. Wilcox, which is the bus transportation. Mr. Wilcox? Mr. Wilcox?
Mic is not working.
Dr. Joyner?
Yes.
Dr. Benitez,
Yes.
Dr. Yarborough,
Yes.
Mr. Goldson,
Yes.
Mr. Cruz Bustamante,
Yes.
Mayor Elicker,
Yes.
and I'm a yes as well. And so that item has been added to the end of the agenda. Thank you. And so we'll move on to the students' report.
Okay, just a couple of things. First of all, the student elections. We got 3 students interested in running for student representative on the Board of Ed. It's gonna be a fresh new face next year. Whoop, whoop. I'm gonna still be here though. So there's Sue May from Hill House, Layla Kelly Walker from Cooperative Arts, and John M. from Wilbur Cross. This Friday, 9:30 a.m. at City Hall, we will be having a candidates forum, so a debate, so to speak. Mishai and I will be working on creating some questions to ask them. If y'all would like to attend, that'd be awesome. We'll also probably invite all of the high school student councils to attend as well, and get the word out that May 19th is election day. Other than that, as y'all may or may not have seen on The Independent, the April Student Congress meeting went very well. It was very productive. Throughout this entire year, we've been crafting a student agenda of sorts. And we came to a vote to finalize our list of directives, which I plan on editing down and talking to some of y'all in committee and in the next couple of Board of Ed meetings. But some of these directives include strengthening student councils and student committees to make policy decisions at each high school, having timelines and better processes for cleaner facilities and bathrooms, incorporating more SEL and critical pedagogy into the lessons and curriculum in the district, and incorporating more mental health resources and auditing the current resources that we have out there to create a coherent and cohesive system of accountability that centers restorative justice. 100% of students, that was around 36 students that attended the April Student Congress, voted yes on this list of directives. So May, I forgot what exact date, but I'll email y'all. That's going to be our last Student Congress meeting of the year. It'll be a little more laid back. I also invite y'all to attend to really see these student leaders and see the excitement, the engagement, and the passion and the power that really radiates from this room. That was one thing that stuck out to me. It was the sense of hope and the sense of power, you know? Students want to do something and they're going to do it. Definitely invite y'all to come to our May Student Congress. I'll send out an email with exact dates, and I'll send out a reminder email for the candidate forum on Friday as well. May 23rd. Thank you, Dr. White. May 23rd is the Student Congress meeting where all the high school student councils gather at Hill House.
Thank you, Mr. Cruz Bustamante. Questions or comments? Mr. Wilcox?
I just wanted to say briefly, I've been involved in the Student Elections Committee for a couple of years now, and want to say that I think that the reason why we have multiple candidates running for this now is thanks to our 2 student reps, Mr. Cruz Bustamante and Ms. Roman. And so I just want to commend them and thank them for breathing some life into that, along with the staff that's been working on it as well, and the building leaders, et cetera, people promoting the idea. But I think a lot of that goes to our 2 student reps, one of which has a great article in The Independent in the last week, Ms. Roman also, so who is graduating this year and going on to some good things. So just thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wilcox.
Thank you. Okay, seeing no further comments or questions, we'll move on to teaching and learning report. Dr. Joyner?
Yes, and I apologize for not being on screen. I don't think you want to see what I look like now. Just got in from the hospital, so. But anyway, let me start out by commending Keisha Red Hannings and the supervisors in literacy, science, and language arts, because of the work that they did in vetting and actually having represented groups of teachers and students to look at possible textbooks adoptions. They did it in a classical way. It was a stratified sample of basically the district. It took into account that we are multilingual district, multicultural district. And our new science supervisor, math supervisor, and our outgoing literacy supervisor, who has been overworked since she's been here. Now we have 2 people doing her job, which is great. Did a good job of actually having these materials in the schools and having a great rubric for teachers to assess the efficacy of this content, this curriculum for our district. And I look forward to great things ahead for our programs. I'm glad Dave went on before me, because I also want to congratulate him for the work that he's done over at Cross with the group. And I don't know when they're going to Washington, but I promised him I'd stop by and talk to him. But I also want to remind people that our students have everything they need, at least in schools, to really soar. And like Masha was an autodidact. She read everything I gave her to read. And Dave is that way as well. If we can get interesting materials, then I'm sure that our students can learn well beyond the classroom. And I'm going to ask Dave to read a book called Coming of Age in Mississippi, which talks about student activists. It's written by Ann Moody. I have an extra copy. I'll try to drop it off to you. There are lots of things that students can do in schools themselves to improve the school environment, particularly the physical environment, through beautification committees and culturally relevant activities around the school. It's been done before, and we can do it again. But what I'd like to see happen, Madam Chair, is at the end of either early June or end of May, to have the literacy, science, and the middle school language arts program come and present to the board. Ms. Red Hannon's had an exhibition at over near Betsy Ross. What's the name of that center that we use over for staff development, where everybody had a chance to come and meet the booksellers, the vendors, and to look at what materials we were proposing for New Haven Public Schools. That's something we should do in all of our content areas. And I just want to give a shout out to her and to the subject area supervisors for the work they've done in this area, because I think great things lie ahead for us. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Dr. Joyner. Any questions or comments for Dr. Joyner? Okay, Facilities Naming Committee report, Dr. Joyner.
I've written but not published, and actually it's something that should be done on the other side, but the steps necessary to get a person's name before us for aspect of a building. We have policy, but people need an action step. I've gotten requests from 2 people regarding how we can get something named for Miss Pappas. And so what I have to do is write a checklist so that they can, and a rubric so they can check all the tasks that they have to perform in order to get it done. And I've written it, I just have to type it, but I've been a little busy lately with personal issues. So I'll get it done. I always do.
Thank you, Dr. Joyner.
Thank you.
Any questions, comments for Dr. Joyner? Okay, Superintendent's report, Dr. Tracy.
My hires that I reported on will be my report, President Rivera. I had sent something in the week to the board already regarding the hires and a couple of schools that we're looking at their low enrollment. And Ms. Connor is working with the school principals and the union for us to clearly determine what's going to happen as we move forward.
Okay. And the literacy and pilot programs updates.
Oh, that's what, oh, Ms. Hannons, I'm sorry. Ms. Hannons.
Good evening, board, and thank you for the opportunity to come before you. And thank you, Dr. Joyner, for teeing me up so well on the work that we've engaged in over this past year. I just would like to echo Dr. Joyner and commend Ms. Lynn Brantley, Ms. Monica Joyner, and Mr. McCain. Please give them a round of applause. They really work extremely hard behind the scenes to ensure that we have pilot programs and ensure that we have the best curriculum in front of our students to give them the best opportunities. I just commend them for their work, and I truly thank them. It's a team effort. So for our Literacy K-5 comprehensive reading program, we've selected Into Reading and Arriba La Lectora from HMH. You've heard a lot of information about HMH in our pilot program. We implemented it in 12 schools, including biliteracy schools. The teacher manual's ease of use was highlighted, and it was highly rated for the supports that it has for our students. So we were extremely pleased with HMH supports for all students, but including our students with disabilities and our multilingual learners. We also selected for our math middle school program, the iReady program, what is increasingly important about the iReady selection. Now we have continuity going from K-8 for the selection of iReady. Feedback was provided from teachers, math coaches, assistant principals, and principals. We piloted iReady in 23 schools. The digital platform was highlighted as very extensive, user-friendly, and teachers have access to lessons from K to 8, which is critically important for our teachers based upon the varying levels that our students are coming into the classroom on the middle grade levels. And the consultants, they were extremely responsive to our needs. And I know you've heard me say on a number of occasions how important it is for us to be treated as if we're the only district that a company works for, because we recognize the need within our schools. And so utilizing our strength in numbers is critically important for our students' success, but also for our teachers to provide high quality instruction. Finally, for Science 6-8, we will also have continuity as well in our K-8 programming as we're continuing with Smithsonian. It is aligned to the national standards of science. So that's critically important, but print text is also available in English and as well as in Spanish. And so when we engage in these pilot programs, we're making sure that all of our students have access to the materials because we have to respond to the changing demographics of our community. And we noticed that there were a lot of real life applications linking academic vocabulary to activity. So we just wanted to provide you with the update on those 3 programs and the selection of them. But kudos to the team, our district coaches, our teachers who participated in the pilots, as well as our administrators. Great job by all.
Questions or comments for Ms. Redhannens? Okay. Thank you, Ms. Redhannens. I do not have a president's report at this time, so I'll move on to the Head Start report. Mr. Wilcox?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. There's no report for Head Start because we haven't met since our last meeting, and so we meet a week from Thursday.
Thank you. And Citywide School Building Committee report?
Same thing, except that meeting is this coming Thursday.
And Finance and Operations?
Okay, thank you. So I don't have anything in additional to report other than the action items we already did, other than to say we are continuing to work on our Series 3000 policies and to do the legwork on them to send them on to the Governance Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Wilcox. Governance report, Dr. Benitez?
Good evening and thank you. As you know, we continue to work on the different policies that we need to update. We held our last meeting April 24th and reviewed several policies within the Series 3000. Also, we continue to work with our webmaster to post policy updates in a manner that is more user-friendly on the website. I explained in the last meeting that for those who didn't hear, we are trying to disaggregate the policies in such a way that you can go directly to the one policy you're looking for instead of having a large PDF file. Today, we also want to provide the board with policy 3,542 and 3,542.31 for the first reading. 3,542 is about school lunch service, and the one with the 0.31 is more specific to free and reduced price lunches. So it's our first reading. If you have any specific questions, board members, please, at this moment, please ask Mr. Wilcox, who is our expert on this. I don't presume to be an expert on every policy. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Benitez. Any comments or questions for Mr. Wilcox?
I just need to correct the record in that I'm not the expert, but people like Gail Shari, Tom Lamb, the Food Service Task Group, et cetera, and the F&O committee also have gone through these policies. So fortunately, we had real experts weigh in on these things. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Benitez and Mr. Wilcox. Food Service Task Group report, Dr. Yarborough.
Thank you. Yes, the Food Service Task Force will meet this week. The agenda is posted, and our conversation will include an update on our search for a food service director, food donation and food share tables in our schools, update on our plan for expanding access to locally grown, healthy, sustainable food, decreasing packaging waste, increasing opportunities for food donation, food rescue, composting, an update from our food gap subgroup, which serves our students and families during school breaks, including the summer break, and any other agenda items that come forward as new business. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Yarborough. Questions or comments for Dr. Yarborough? Seeing none, the next item was the executive session. However, Attorney Natalia Sierra Milan will not be available until around 8 p.m. She's working on other negotiations and can't come on at that time. We moved right along the agenda, which is nice, but she was expecting that we would be later. So I guess we can take the bus transportation item first and see where that leaves us. And then if not, maybe she can update us in writing through email. Mr. Wilcox?
I guess the first question is at the will of the board to go into executive session on this or not to.
I'm fine either way. Mr. Goldson, did you have a?
Does Mr. Alexiadis have a recommendation on this as the?
Attorney Alexiadis?
He's here. Oh, I saw his name up there.
Gotta be in two places at once.
The suggestion, good evening, board members and
Good evening.
remotely. My suggestion is that it is better to discuss the matter confidentially until you're ready to make an award to preserve the confidentiality of the proposals and preserve the integrity of the process. Therefore, makes sense to go into executive session first, then come out and take action if you so desire. And if I may, because I've been in contact with Attorney Milan with regard to her availability, she's engaged in another matter that is running late and therefore be available until 8 o'clock when she expected to be available by 7 o'clock. So the timing may work out or it might not, but that's the matter with the board.
We're not hearing everything, or at least I'm not.
Couldn't hear me?
Yes.
That last sentence.
Oh, what I was saying is that the matter that that Attorney Milan is intending to address with the board is a matter of some urgency.
Mhm.
And so therefore, it would be good to have that discussion with her in executive session because it concerns a pending matter, but it'd be good to have that discussion with her within the next day or two, if not tonight.
Okay.
The timing may, however, work out depending on how long we're in the executive session.
Madam President,
Mr. Goldson,
point of order. If we finish up with this bus stuff before 8 o'clock, can we recess the meeting and reconvene as a by the web as opposed to hybrid?
I mean, I think it's okay. Attorney Alexiadis?
May I ask, Mr. Golson, are you asking to reconvene on another date or later this evening?
If we finish up, and I expect that we're going to finish up the bus thing within the next half an hour, so I don't think that's going to be very long. We're talking about 7 o'clock. She's not available to 8. I don't know about Mr. Wilcox, but I don't tend to sit in the school until 8 o'clock. I've had those days before, and I don't want to do it tonight. So I'm asking, can we just recess the meeting instead of adjourning and reconvene remotely?
You may take a recess, the board may take a recess. Typically, that's shorter than an hour. Typically, that's 10, 15 minutes for a break.
We're
I
not a
think you can
typical
take a
board.
you may take a longer recess, but the in-person portion ought to remain active and open so that someone, and it may just be staff, someone would need to be here for that intervening hour if that's how the timing worked out, if you all wanted to
I can remain if needed.
participate remotely. That's an option, but I think I would suggest you need to see how it goes.
Right. But we know what our options are now.
Sounds good. So would there be a motion to go into executive session? I don't have the language. I think, Mr. Wilcox, do you have it?
Yeah, so I move that we go into executive session for discussion and possible, I guess, not action, but for discussion concerning the responses to the solicitation of proposals for transportation services.
Second, who would attend that session from staff?
So here, can you hear Yesenia?
Yes.
Oh, boy. Mr. Golson asked who, not working, who would attend the session? I think for now, we just need the board, myself and Ms. Salam,
Attorney
and
Alexiadis.
Attorney Alexiadis.
Okay.
Do we have a Zoom link for that? I can't seem to find one.
Yes. Email.
Viviana
Okay.
Connors sent it.
All right.
It's been properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll vote to go into to executive session to discuss the bus transportation. Mr. Wilcox. Mr. Wilcox,
Yes.
Mr. Golton. Dr. Joyner,
Yes.
Dr. Benitez,
Yes.
Dr. Yarborough,
Yes.
Mr. Cruz Bustamante is gone, right? Okay. Mayor Elicker,
Yes.
and I'm a yes as well. And so we'll see you in executive session.
have to go back in executive session from Natalia. I said we have to send it to her.
Oh, it's over, yeah, but, no, I was just saying.
I did. I thought we were just gonna vote, man. I thought we all had decided which way we were gonna go. I figured I was gonna lose the vote, but I wasn't gonna touch it out.
Hot mics?
Oh. Gotta go back in for this. Oh, jeez.
We're waiting on Mr. Wilcox. Please.
So are you guys gonna put some sort of banner? Colonel fan? How long has this school been open? 1 year or two? Out after 2 years like that?
That's a warranty. It depends.
Okay, it looks like we're all back. We are out of executive session and back in regular session. No votes were taken in executive session. And I will now open the floor. Mr. Wilcox.
Madam President, I'd like to make a motion, and that is, I move that we award the NHPS Student Transportation Services under RFP number 2023-03-1524, including regular and special education busing services from July 1, 2023 to June 30, 2026, in an amount not to exceed $93,646,128.58, with the option of up to 2 additional fiscal years per student, subject to approval by the New Haven Board of Alders.
Thank you, Mr. Wilcox. Mr. Goldson.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to propose an amendment to that motion.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I heard a couple of different things.
Oh, Dr. Tracy, can you mute your,
Are you good? All right. Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to amend that motion to provide first student with the contract for the big busing part of this agreement, the regular education. I'd like to further propose that they be given an extension of 1 year on the SPED contract. And thirdly, I would like to add to that we award the second 2 years of the SPED contract starting July 1st, 2024 to We Transportation.
is there a second? I will second for purpose of conversation. Any discussion, Mr. Wilcox?
Thank you. I'm not in support of the amendment. Basically, as I've outlined before, I think that this process has been a success. We use an outside company with vast experience to write the RFP documents and the contract. We put this out, and it was properly scored and reviewed by a committee of our local experts around this subject. Their unanimous recommendation was to award both the general transportation and the special education transportation to First Student. The pricing is also advantageous. I've reviewed all the materials, and I think that that's the way to go. Splitting this means more money, not a savings, and a lot of issues for our building leaders and parents. So I do not support this. The other additional reason why I don't support this is because we put out an RFP for 3 years with 2 additional years, and now under this amendment, we're changing the basic route things that was put into the RFP. We'd be asking one of these companies to essentially wait a year. It just it leaves too many questions as to is it even possible? And we are getting close on time when we have summer classes or summer school starting up very soon and the school year starting soon. So I'm not in favor of this amendment.
Point of order, Madam President.
Thank you, Mr. Wilcox. Mr. Golton?
I'm sorry. I just realized I misstated my motion. My motion was to also include a rebid of the contract, not an award of the contract to we.
So your motion is to extend the contract for First Student and then rebid it after a year?
No, not after a year, but rebid it during the year.
Right.
For the upcoming July 1st, 2024 year.
Okay. That's what I meant. Okay.
Can I,
Read-
Point of order, Madam Chair, you seconded Mr. Goldson's first proposal. It would be appropriate for you to, if you wish, second this change proposal.
Yep, I will second the change proposal.
Thank you, Madam President.
Dr. Joyner?
This amendment creates a logistical nightmare for the school district, for the students, the staff, the parents. The other issue is that this particular protocol was the best protocol I've seen since I've been on the board. It followed all the rules regarding the scorers, the efficacy of the instrument, the fact that it was double blind because it used Bonfire, and the fact that it will save the district $2.4 million over 3 years. We're not in the business of charging taxpayers more money for our system. We're not in the business of creating chaos for teachers, principals, students, and families. We're in the business of trying to create as much order as we can possibly do and get done in the system. And quite frankly, it would be a poor reflection on us if we had a process that any reasonable person would say was fair, open, and transparent, and that followed some of the highest standards of procurement policy. And we undercut that process. Essentially, by doing that, we're saying that the multiple people that are professionals on both sides, the city and the school district, people who run schools, people who handle fiscal issues, as well as the expertise of our esteemed chair of finance, that essentially they don't know what they're doing or they're doing something wrong. And that's not the case. And I'm not supporting this amendment because of that. We don't need to give a new superintendent more problems to deal with. We need to settle this once and for all. I yield the floor.
Thank you, Dr. Joyner. Okay, seeing no further discussion, we will vote on the amendment, which is the 1-year extension to first student for both sped and regular buses, while we rebid the contracts.
No, Madam President, I think,
Oh.
I think the amendment was to allow for the 3 years on the regular transportation and a 1-year extension.
On the sped. Got it. Okay. All right, Mr. Wilcox,
No.
Dr. Joyner,
No.
Mr. Goldson,
Yes.
Dr. Yarborough,
No.
Dr. Benitez,
No.
Mayor Elicker.
No.
I was a yes, but the noes haven't, so that motion fails. So we go back to the original motion from Mr. Wilcox, which is to grant the 3 years to first student, both sped and regular buses, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Wilcox?
Are we voting?
Yes. Oh, any discussion? Sorry. Okay, see no discussion, we'll vote. Mr. Wilcox?
Yes.
Dr. Joyner?
Yes.
Dr. Benitez?
No.
Mr. Goldson?
No.
Mayor Elicker?
Yes.
I am a no, but the yeses have it. So that motion passes.
After having voted.
Did Mr. Yarborough vote?
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Yarborough, Dr. Yarborough, go ahead.
Yarborough, sorry.
No.
Okay. Yep, so still 1, 2, 3. 4 yeses and 3 nos, so,
No, Madam,
4 no's and 3 yeses.
hold on. Mayor Elicker was a yes, Mr. Wilcox was a yes, Dr. Joyner was a yes, Dr. Benitez was,
No.
Dr. Benitez, you were a no. Okay. So 4 no's and 3 yeses, so the motion fails. So we'll have to discuss what we're doing.
Mr. Wilcox has a hand up.
Mr. Wilcox?
Yes, I'd like to make an additional motion, and that is
Yes.
that I move that we direct staff to negotiate with first student for one of the optional years that are under our existing contract. So it's a 1-year extension, where it's 1 additional year is available on our contract.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none. Mr. Wilcox?
Well, I was going to say something, but I guess I won't.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Mr. Wilcox. Oh, hold
No.
on. Ms. Mason has a question. Ms. Mason?
Thank you. There's terrible feedback on the meeting, so it's not very clear, very difficult to hear, but I would love Mr. Wilcox to repeat the motion.
All right, happy to. Are you able to hear me now? If I talk like this? Is this better?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So my motion was that we direct staff to negotiate with first student for an optional year that is available under our current contract.
Thank you.
And it was seconded by Dr. Yarborough. And seeing no discussion, we will vote on that item. Mr. Wilcox,
Yes.
Dr. Yarborough,
Yes.
Dr. Joyner,
Yes.
Dr. Benitez,
Yes.
Mr. Goldson,
No.
Mayor Elicker,
yes.
and I am a yes as well. So that motion passes. And And I believe that now Attorney Alexiadis would, it's 8:11, so Attorney Sierra Milan should be ready in a couple minutes. And so I'll move that we go into executive session pursuant to Connecticut General Statutes 12006B and 1201B 4 and 10 concerning strategy and negotiations with respect to pending claims and discussion which would result in the disclosure of attorney-client privilege communications regarding New Haven Federation of Teachers versus New Haven Board of Education, case 01-22-004-7375. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll move to go into executive session. Is someone speaking? Oh, okay.
Same link.
It's
that
the,
was
it's
sent
the same
before.
link.
Oh, same link.
Yep, it's the same link. I'll be
Okay.
there to let everybody in again.
All right, Dr. Joyner?
Do we stay here?
No, we gotta go into executive session. Dr. Joyner,
Yes.
Dr. Yarborough,
Yes.
Point of order, Madam President.
yes.
Staff is asking who's included in that meeting.
Attorney Sierra Milan, Attorney Alexiadis, Dr. Tracy, I believe that's it. Okay. All right, let's start. Dr. Joyner,
Yes.
Dr. Yarborough,
Yes.
Mr. Golton. Mr. Golton,
Yes.
Dr. Benitez,
Yes.
Mr. Wilcox. Mr. Wilcox,
Yes.
Mayor Elicker,
Yes.
and I'm a yes as well. And so we'll see you in executive session.
At home, I would be drinking my scotch right now. Oh. I'm legal, I can drink.
Now again.
Let's go ahead, John. President Rivera, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. So we are out of executive session, back in regular session. No votes were taken in executive session. And because that was the last item, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it's been properly seconded. Mayor Elicker,
Yes.
Mr. Wilcox,
Yes.
Dr. Yarborough,
Yes.
Mr. Goldson,
Yes.
and I am a yes as well. Good night, everyone.